French or not, it's a rousing anthem for Les Bleus. Now let's hear the national anthem of Mexico, or Himno Nacional, as they might call it.
And now, the national anthem of Mexico.
Was the Mexican national anthem. I nearly fell down the stairs to my left as I got back into my chair. Well, the French national anthem was rousing enough to bring their captain Patrice Evra to tears. He leads out his team tonight, which shows one change from the one which played against Uruguay in their opening match and drew that 0-0. In comes Florent Malouda in place of Yoann Gourcuff. It's a big talking point, both inside and outside the French camp. So Hugo Lloris is in goal for them. Bakary Sagna, one of three Arsenal players in the team, at right back. Arsene Wenger, the Arsenal manager, is just behind us here, working for French television. William Gallas, for now an Arsenal player, plays in central defence alongside Eric Abidal, who wins his 50th cap for France this evening. And Evra is at left back. Now the midfield might change slightly here, Jan. It could be a straight three of Jeremy Toulalan, Abou Diaby, another of the Arsenal players, and Florent Malouda. But it could mean Frank Ribery tucking in and then Malouda coming forward on the left, with Anelka up front and Govou on the right. We'll wait to see how they formulate. As for Mexico, again one change. It's in defence. Hector Moreno comes in for Paul Aguilar. Oscar Perez, in his third World Cup, is in goal. Across the back from right to left, we expect it to be Ricardo Azario, Hector Moreno, Francisco Rodriguez, who, like Abidal, is making his 50th appearance for his country this evening, and Carlos Salcido at left back, the PSV Eindhoven full-back. Midfield three of Efrain Juarez, who plays his football in Mexico, Barcelona's Rafael Marquez, the captain, and Gerardo Torrado winning his 113th cap for Mexico. Their front three is Tottenham's Giovanni Dos Santos, Guillermo Franco, who was released by West Ham at the end of the last season, and Arsenal's Carlos Vela. What do you make of those lineups, Jan Molby?
Well, very much expected. I mean, both teams know that they certainly can't afford to lose. The interesting bit is that within Mexico's starting 11, they have a number of ways that they can actually play, but I think you're right in terms of they probably will go with a 4-3-3. Really, really attacking. They have a really pleasing on the eye style. They play lovely, quick football. They have some exceptional, good technical footballer. It's just a question mark of whether they have enough power where it matters, i.e. in the two penalty areas.
Our referee for this evening comes from Saudi Arabia, Khalil Al-Ghamdi. In his second World Cup, 39-year-old teacher from Riyadh, in a bright yellow shirt tonight. The French team in their customary blue shirts, blue shorts and blue socks. Mexico in their customary green shirts, white shorts and white socks. And it's going to be the French who get this game underway, attacking the goal away to our right in this first half. And it's a touch by Anelka to Ribery. and it's immediately played out to the left-hand side where Florent Malouda is, and looking at it now, Jan, it does look like Ribery's tucked in.
Yes, it appears that way. It certainly did that straight from the kick-off. You need two players to help with the kick-off, so maybe that's the case, but we'll see as we go along how they decide to line up.
Mexico play a long ball down their right flank, which is picked up in midfield by Gerardo Torrado, who is on a yellow card tonight, like Efrain Juarez, so if they were to pick up another yellow each, they would miss the third and final group game against Uruguay. Here's Ribery on the halfway line for France. One of several players wearing gloves this evening. It's another chilly night, this time in Polokwane at the Peter Mokaba Stadium, one of the new venues for this 2010 World Cup. And here's Ribery playing a ball inside towards Govou. Govou is fouled. I think Ribery might have been fouled as well. In any case, it's a free kick to France.
Yes, but it does very much look like a free roll for Ribery, and I'm not convinced that is his best role. When you play in there, in what we call the hole behind a lone striker, you need to be the player who actually sees a pass, and I'm not sure that is his strength. His strength is running with the ball, getting at people, putting in cross, shooting from distance.
The free kick's going to be taken by Florent Malouda from this near side, the France right, but at left-footed it swung to the edge of the penalty area. No challenge from a French player because Hector Moreno heads away, and then eventually Jeremy Toulalan plays a poor pass down the line, and it's going to be a goal kick to Mexico.
Yeah, it's a bit of an edgy start, isn't it? None of the teams are quite settled yet, but it's a very important game.
Ramon Domenech, the France coach, this is his last tournament. He'll be leaving his post at the end of the World Cup. Watches on as Mexico come forward down the left, offside though against Giovanni Dos Santos, who strikes the post with his effort across goal. It was a decent strike that, but it wouldn't have counted in any case.
No, but he's just having a little pop, isn't he, Dos Santos? He was in the clear, he should have received the ball earlier, he couldn't hold his run in the end. The pass came, by the time it came he just straight into an offside position. But again, that free-flowing Mexican way of playing, nice to watch.
Many of these players were in the successful under-17s team. They're now bearing fruit in the senior side. Dos Santos, Vela amongst them.
Yeah, and it's a real gamble to play them, isn't it? You know, at the biggest days that there is. But they've settled well, and the fact that they've already got an awful lot of experience for such young players, but they are playing some great stuff.
Evra, the France captain, gets a return pass from Florent Malouda, edge of the Mexico area, into the box. He tries to cross, good block by the defender, and out for a corner kick to France, which Franck Ribéry goes across to take. Just looking around, the three previous matches I've done at this World Cup, I've seen lots of empty seats. Tonight, looks like a fairly full crowd, although...
Yeah, there isn't many, is there?
Some of the seats are camouflaged, they're light brown in colour. Ribéry with a corner to the edge of the 6-yard area, headed away by Mexico out to the far side for a France throw. It was Francisco Rodriguez with that clearing header, and it's Ribéry who'll take the throw, in line with the edge of the penalty area. France 0, Mexico 0, early on here in Polokwane. Mexico having to defend as France look to come forward through Abu Diaby, who's bundled off the ball in midfield. It's a free kick to France, and Guillermo Franco, for getting in the way of Jeremy Toulalan wanting the ball, has been booked in the 4th minute by referee Al Gamdi.
Well, he's given himself a problem, the referee. If he's going to book everybody for as little as that, then we could see some fireworks.
First yellow of the night for Guillermo Franco, who was playing his football at West Ham last season. He won't be next season. He trots back into the penalty area to defend here as France take this free kick. And Nelka's behind it. It's a good 35 yards from goal, just to the left of centre. Only 2 Mexican players in the wall. They're now going to be joined by Dos Santos. Might be too late, but Anelka, as we have seen on several occasions in this World Cup, strikes it over the bar.
We haven't. We have never seen such a pathetic attempt from a free kick in this World Cup as of yet. What was that all about? I mean, even if he would have hit the target, the goalkeeper wouldn't have to use his hands. It was as if it was like a rugby penalty kick, wasn't it? You know, I've got to make sure I get it over and above in between the sticks.
Wouldn't have seen that in the heyday of Jan Molby. With us on 5 Live Sport. Poor pass by Evra. Lloris has to come out to clear from his D. Dos Santos was prowling there, and France are now on the counter-attack down the left. Malouda can't get there. Good defending at the back by Mexico.
This ref's going to give everything.
And there's another free kick been awarded. Very fractured so far.
He's got to be careful, this ref, hasn't he? He doesn't get too much carried away. Give the game a chance.
Well, he can't argue that he's nervous necessarily, because he's been in a World Cup before as Khalil Al-Ghamdi. Nevertheless, free kick to France. Centre field and about 15 yards inside the Mexico half. France attacking the goal away to our right in this first 45. Long distance effort from Ribéry, which is kept low, bounces a couple of times into the arms of Oscar Perez.
How far was that?
That was a good 45.
Definitely.
Here's Evra down the left again. Mexico unable to retain possession at the moment. Anelka moving forward, trying to sweep the ball down the line, but failing to do so. He wins a throw-in with 6 minutes played. It's still France 0, Mexico 0.
He didn't keep his free kick duties for long, did he, Anelka? After that pathetic attempt.
Throwing to be taken by Patrice Evra. Long ball into the box. Anelka's there. It's over his head and put out of play for another throw-in to France, who drew 0-0 against Uruguay in their opening game. And of course, Uruguay beat South Africa 3-0 last night in Pretoria, which puts them in the driving seat. France throw again, played into the penalty area, and yet another free kick awarded by the referee for a foul by Anelka this time.
But they have started well, the French, as if they've got a point to prove. Maybe they have, after the unrest in the camp and the fact that the players have got their way, with Malouda coming back into the starting 11. And normally you'd expect the Mexicans, it's a team, they know each other well, and they play some good stuff, but it's the French on top at the moment.
But could you foresee a French side, with the problems in the camp, the factions within the camp, getting to the final as they did 4 years ago?
Highly unlikely. I don't think they quite have the quality that they had maybe 4 years ago. But they are difficult to play against. They've got some good players in key areas. And when you look at that back four, even when they don't play well, they are still outstanding individuals, and they're going to be very, very difficult to break down.
Yes, the likes of Sagna, Gallas, Abidal and Evra. Here's Mexico coming forward. Ball chested down by Vela towards Franco. Tries to return the pass. Played away by Abidal and then hooked clear down centre field by Bakary Sagna, being watched by his manager Arsene Wenger this evening. Here Mexico have possession though, inside the France half. Goalless here as the captain Marquez plays it over the top, and onside is Carlos Vela, who volleys from the left side of the penalty area but can't keep the ball down. Options,
and he took the wrong one. I mean, he was clean through. 3 of them were actually clean through. They'd just been caught. It was Abidal who was caught hanging back a little bit. Vela, he had options in the middle, but from there you've got to hit the target, you've got to make the goalkeeper work. It was a real opportunity, as I said before. There was other options. You could have crossed it, you could have played it in low in the end. It's a wild shot.
Only 2 goals in 20 appearances for Arsenal last season for Carlos Vela.
You can see why.
Yeah, but I suppose he's creeping into the Arsenal team, you might say, very tentatively.
Yeah, he might just be one of those players that might find it easier to play away from Arsenal than maybe a lesser club. No doubt in his talent. Very, very skillful. He understands the game, and he does have a goal in him, but it's tricky at Arsenal, isn't it?
Well, a man who did have a very good season in the Premier League last year. Last season is Florent Malouda, who plays in the free kick. Perez comes out to punch. There's another infringement, this time on the edge of the area. The foul on, I think it was Marquez.
You count the free kicks and I'll count the goals.
I've lost count already. Still France 0, Mexico 0, 9 minutes play. The Mexicans have never beaten France at senior international level in 6 attempts. 3 of those have been at World Cup finals, but they haven't met in the World Cup for 44 years. Here's Franck Ribéry down the left for France, and he skips away from Marquez with ease. Plays a neat ball in field to Malouda, who then can't retain possession because it's touched away from him and out for a corner kick on the far side away to our right.
I think all Ribéry wanted there was a return pass to Malouda. He done well, he sucked in 2 defenders, played the ball inside, got the other side of 2 defenders, and just wanted to return so he could put a cross back into the penalty area for Anelka. But Malouda, I don't think he saw him.
Ribéry to take the corner from the far side, swung into the near post, straight at Oscar Perez, who opts to use a double-fisted punch rather than actually take that ball at chest height, and it goes out for a throw-in over on the far side, which Evra will take. Thrown in square to Abu Diaby. Ribery then picks up the pass from him. Malouda, left edge of the area, almost went down under a challenge, squared in just in front of Ribery and away from Anelka, who comes back to collect the loose ball. On the right wing now, the Chelsea striker, Anelka, ducks in field, tries a shot, and not a great deal different to the free kick earlier.
He did well though, Malouda, when he got down the left. And then you think he's just going to fist one across. He tries to pick out Ribery, and that wasn't the right option. I think if he'd have just gone hard and low across the penalty area, and Anelka was in there, just marked by the one defender, it might have been the better option.
Here on 5 Live Sport tomorrow evening from 6:30, live from Cape Town, England against Algeria. It's the last of the 3 games tomorrow. The first of them, Germany against Serbia, live from Port Elizabeth. And then Slovenia against the USA in England's group. Here come Mexico. Lofted ball to the edge of the area. Centre field. Franco, right foot shot. And he just guides it over the crossbar. And for a split second, if he'd just kept it lower, he might well have scored.
That started with a great pass from the left back, Salcido. He spotted that Franco was just got away from Abidal again. A good play by Franco. Comes back inside on his left foot. Goes as to shoot. Checks back on his right foot. And what we've seen already on a number of occasions, not just in this game, is people trying to bend them into the far corner. And I'm not sure you're going to get that whip on this ball.
Ball's headed forward. Malouda's after it. Mexico clear. And then Franco's in there to get in another challenge. Marquez just sitting in that central midfield role for Mexico, watching on as Anelka plays it wide on the right to Govu. I haven't even mentioned Govu's name in the first 12 minutes until now. Here's Anelka once more to Jérémy Toulalan, also a rare touch for him. Ribery then fouled unnecessarily by Gerardo Torrado. It's a free kick to France.
I think what will give Mexico hard is the fact that I think Abidal is struggling defensively. You know, the one chance that Vela had, he was caught hanging back, playing everybody on side, and again Franco got away from him, so that will give Mexico some hope.
Played in all bar one of the matches en route to the final in Germany in 2006. Eric Abidal, he did score in the shootout against Italy, but it wasn't enough for them to win the coveted trophy that's at stake here in South Africa over the next 3 weeks. Florent Malouda with a free kick midway inside the Mexico half to the right, but of course it'll be an in-swinger from him. Govu's also there, but Malouda is teeing this up. He's at 90 degrees as he plays this short, actually, to the edge of the area. Lovely touch by Anelka. Right edge to the byline. Powered across by Ribery, but it eludes everybody on the edge of the 6-yard area and goes out for a throw.
Yeah, nice little training ground routine by the French. Anelka's pass as the free kick is played into him. Maybe it was lifted a little bit too much and made it slightly more difficult for Ribery. But again, he's done ever so well, turned and fisted across, but nobody could get himself in there.
13 minutes have passed, still 0-0. There might be a chance here for Vela, and for the second time in the opening quarter of an hour, Lloris has been put under pressure by his own defenders. Yeah,
and this time it was William Gallas who didn't get enough power on the back pass. Again, he'll lift the Mexicans, that's for sure.
I mentioned the 3 games tomorrow. The 2 earlier today ended in victories for both Greece and Argentina. Mexico defending here. Argentina beat South Korea 4-1. Greece beat Nigeria 2-1. Franco tries to play the ball to Vela down the left. It's a loose pass picked up by the French. Then the referee gets in the way. And then for a split second the Mexicans thought they had the ball, and now it's back with France and Eric Abidal in central defence. It's a neat ball forward to Jérémy Toulalan of Lyon, who gets it once more in the centre circle and guides it out to Bakary Sagna on the right. Near side as we look, Javier Aguirre, the Mexico coach, pointing out a few instructions to his team. He's a popular figure in Mexico, is Aguirre. He coached them in 2002 as they reached the last 16, but then went out to the USA. They did actually finish ahead of Italy in the group stages, and he himself played in a World Cup 24 years ago, as did your fine self.
I did indeed, and it was in Mexico, wasn't it? A lot was expected in those days of the great Mexican team, and their greatest player in that 1986 team is just on our right up here, the great Hugo Sanchez.
Hugo Sanchez.
Whoa.
I loved it when the Mexicans were commentating on that. Here come Mexico. That's a rash challenge. That's a surprise. The referee's given all those free kicks. And that foul on Salcedo by, I think it was Gallas.
It was indeed.
Was a definite free kick.
Well, I think if he's decided it's not a foul, then maybe he should be booking the player for diving. But he decides to let it go.
Well, he gave out a rather tame yellow card to Franco after just 4 minutes. There's a foul there by Malouda.
It's not a bad old game, though, is it? It's open. It's from end to end. You know, we've seen some pretty average games, but this one has started well.
It's beginning to open up now, these second round of matches.
I think so. I mean, the first round of matches was probably as bad as Italia 1990, but it started well, the second round of games.
Goalless here. Here's Giovanni Dos Santos. That's handball on the left-hand angle of the penalty area. It's a free kick to France. Santos, officially a Tottenham Hotspur player, but of course
he hasn't done much there, has he?
He spent last season at Galatasaray. There's a view to a permanent move, but I don't know whether that's going to come off now. His brother Jonathan was actually in the 24-man squad. He was the last of the players to get dropped ahead of this tournament. So, although it's a good thing for the Dos Santos family that Giovanni is here, sort of bittersweet because his brother isn't.
Yeah, and I believe he's come out and said that he'll never play for Mexico again.
Has he?
Yeah. And his dad backed him up and said he's correct. And there was even talk about Giovanni pulling out because his brother didn't make it. Calm down, lads. We can only
as
take
they say on the world.
Yeah, we can only take 23. Somebody has to miss out.
Oscar Perez to take the goal kick from his 6-yard box away to our right. We've played almost 17 minutes on a very cold night in northeast South Africa. It's Torrado playing the ball out wide to Osario on the far side of the field. He just plays it infield to Franco. Return pass to Osario. The second ball is not good, but Salcedo is in there to intercept Govu. And it's going to be a throw-in to France in the right-back position, which Bakary Sagna will take. At half-time here on 5 Live, you'll hear a very entertaining press conference from the Argentina coach, Diego Maradona, which was conducted after their 4-1 win over South Korea today. Worth listening to. And after tonight's match, as this ball's played long and forward and headed away momentarily by Gallas, you'll get a full England preview ahead of that game against Algeria tomorrow night. Phil Neville amongst Mark Chapman's guests. The ball is now back with Perez away to our right. Almost 18 minutes played. Jan Mulby, your assessment so far?
Well, as I said before, I think it's been a decent game. It hasn't been the start by Mexico we maybe expected. They seem to have one or two problems against a physically strong French team, especially in the centre midfield. But on occasions like this one here, they can play.
They've got space. Salcedo, 20 yards out, drives in a shot. It's the best chance of the game so far, and it's driven a couple of yards wide of Lloris's goal. But there was acres of space on this left flank for Mexico to exploit.
But what they did was the Mexicans, they built up down the right, dragged the French players across, and then they found a bit of space, switched play, the left back, and he's a very, very attacking left back, made his way forward from some 20 odd yards. He's hit his shot. It's a difficult angle with his left foot. He's just dragged it wide of the far post.
I mentioned there that we're in the northeast of South Africa. This is actually the most northerly of the 10 venues for this World Cup, and it is at 1,300 metres altitude.
We're almost in Zimbabwe.
We are. Not a million miles away from Swaziland, Mozambique. But it seems to be cold everywhere.
Yeah, I was just going to say, but we are cold.
Yeah, I haven't been to Durban yet. Everybody keeps telling me you can wear flip-flops in Durban. No chance here, as Dos Santos is bundled to the floor. It's a free kick to Mexico in what is a dangerous position. 25 to 30 yards out to the right. And it's a chance here. Rafael Marquez picks up the ball straight away.
Yeah, he'll fancy this, won't he? I mean, I hope he goes for power. You know, a lot of players have been trying to get the ball up and down. It hasn't quite worked. Let's have some power.
Yeah, like you said earlier, the ball isn't really turning in the air.
No, it's not.
It's dipping, but not turning.
You also see that from crosses. You know those whipped crosses that strikers love. We don't see many of them either. But he'll be in good form, Marquez, after his goal in the opening match against South Africa.
Marquez is teeing this ball straight up to his right, and what would be a left-footed free kick is Giovanni Dos Santos. Referee Al-Ghamdi, what's he saying here?
I don't know what his problem is.
Or is he asking
to bring the ball
back? What, 1 yard?
It wasn't a yard, that.
That wasn't. Oh dear. Pernickety.
Well done, ref.
Beyond belief.
And the referees have done well in this World Cup, I think.
They have. Here comes Marquez then, right-footed, he steps over the ball, leaves it for Giovanni dos Santos, and it strikes the French wall, and Jeremy Toulalon gets a touch off dos Santos to win a throw-in on the far side of the field. Talking of referees, Carlos Alberto Pereira, the South Africa coach, was quite critical of last night's referee in their defeat by Uruguay. And I think he was deflecting the attention away from his team, wasn't he?
I think so. I mean, also Cristiano Ronaldo had one or two things to say. But as I said before, I think the referees have done quite well.
And of course that game was in this group. Uruguay on 4 points at the moment. These two teams on 1. So whoever can get a victory here tonight gets a significant advantage going into the last round of matches.
I also think that the French think with South Africa in their last game that even if they can draw here, they'll feel comfortable that they can beat South Africa, because as well as they did in the first game against Mexico, they were poor last night against Uruguay.
And South Africa know they have to come out and play, because they sat back for a lot of the first half in that game against Uruguay. They can't afford to do that next week.
I think Uruguay showed us what a good team they are, well organised, and they've got some good players. And they probably got the most outstanding performer in the World Cup so far in Diego Forlan.
Yeah, not to forget Luis Suarez, who plays up front with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's only a matter of time before he starts scoring a few goals, isn't it? But I just think Forlan, whether he plays as a striker or he plays in the hole, he's a technically very gifted footballer, and got himself 2 great goals last night.
France 0, Mexico 0 on 5 Live. The voice you just heard is that of the former Denmark international, Jan Molby. As the challenge comes in from Abu Dhabi. In actual fact, he's the one who's fouled by Osario. It's going to be a free kick just inside the France half. Eric Abidal puts the ball down in that area, as I mentioned at the start, winning his 50th cap, the Barcelona defender. As there's a nice touch by Flora Malouda to break away from one challenge. Gets away from the second player. Plays it square to the edge of the box. Ribéry has his back to goal. Turns brilliantly, but doesn't have any space in which to shoot. And eventually, after Diaby plays it in, Mexico clear.
Just too many green shirts around Ribéry. I mean, the first bit of skill was wonderful. Just as he thought he was going to fire it, out came another Mexican defender to kick the ball away.
Here's Diaby inside the Mexico half. And the ball is now with Abidal, who strikes it to this near side, the right. Sanya picks it up, plays it square to Ribéry. Midway inside Mexico territory. Good leave there by Diaby. And eventually he brings down Marquez. It's a free kick to Mexico. And at the halfway point of the first half, with the score 0-0, John Murray will help Jan Molby through to half-time.
Thanks, Mike. It's another cold night at World Cup 2010. And France in possession with Malouda. If you've just switched on to our coverage here, Ribéry playing in a central position behind Anelka, and Malouda back in the team. No Gourcuff for France. He's a substitute. Here is Malouda on the left-hand side in the full-back position, takes on the right back currently, Moreno, who came into the side for Mexico this evening, and then Malouda under pressure from 2 Mexicans. Forces a corner. One of them just touched it out for a corner to France from the left-hand side. It's not been a bad game. Quite well matched.
Yeah, but it just needs a goal, doesn't it? You know, to build on the early impressions, which have been good. We just need a little goal.
Well, the French tricolours are waving, and Franck Ribéry away in that corner on the opposite side of the field from where we sit. Takes the corner, short to Sanya, back to Ribéry, clips it in right-footed towards the back post, and it's headed away there by Rodriguez and out for a throw-in on this side. Anelka was right behind him, and Rodriguez, Masa Rodriguez as they call it, it's his nickname, twisted and headed it out for a throw 10 yards back from the corner flag. France 0, Mexico 0. 24 minutes played here at the World Cup Stadium, the Peter Mokaba Stadium in Polokwane. Long throw into the Mexican area. It's headed away. Comes back for the French. Toulalon drives it across. Malouda tried to head it, but didn't make any contact at all with it. I think he got up well, but Osorio jumped with him, did enough to put him off, and it's out for a throw to the Mexicans.
Yeah, he did indeed, but it was a wonderful cross by Toulalon. He didn't drag that one out, put it into the danger area where the goalkeeper couldn't come, but as you correctly pointed out, Malouda couldn't get his head to it.
So, Jan, we're sitting in the Limpopo province.
Really?
Watching a World Cup match.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Life's full of surprises, isn't it? And the Limpopo province, is it to your liking?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had 2 wonderful days here. I mean, it's obviously slightly better during the day when the sun is out.
Yes, it gets a bit cold at night.
We had an enjoyable evening last night watching South Africa with a couple of German engineers. So
yes, we did.
All in all, very good.
Yes, they kept us entertained. Osorio heads the ball away on the edge of the box. Here's Giovanni now for the Mexicans in the green shirts and the white shorts. But the French in blue, Alain Lebleu, have got it back, and they're on the right-hand side with Sagna, who rolls it down into the full-back position. Anelka, floodlights shining off his head, turns, but he couldn't find the pass through, and it's blocked by Salcido, who plays it away up the left-hand side. Mexico get a little fortunate break in centre field. Giovanni now to Osorio, who swings and a low pass towards the edge of the area, and Gallas clears it away, and it bounces away down the field. And the red-shirted goalkeeper Perez comes out of his penalty area to clip it forward.
Well played.
For the Mexicans.
Well played, goalkeeper. Nice little forward chip, wasn't it?
Must be the shortest goalkeeper possibly in international football.
And I think the French have earmarked that, haven't they, with crosses and shots from distance.
Well, they do
try and put him under pressure.
They do say he is extremely agile. I think he is only something like 5'9", the Mexican goalkeeper, 37 years old, so lots of experience. Giovanni's ball over the top for Vela, but it was headed away by Sagna, who followed him, and the French have cleared it into the centre circle to Rafael Marquez. Now to the left-hand side to Salcido making good ground up this left-hand side. A cameraman hovering just off the pitch next to him. Salcido beats Sagna into the area, shoots straight at Lloris, who blocks it away. Shot from the angle, and it was straight at the French goalkeeper. And he was fortunate in that parry. Came out to Sagna, who cleared it.
No, he did ever so well again, the left back. I mean, he's one of those guys who seems to have been playing international football forever. But he did ever so well. It was a nice little nutmeg. Comes inside. He's true-footed. It doesn't matter. He's got an option to cross with his left foot or shoot with his right. He goes for the shot straight at the goalkeeper. But good play by Mexico again.
Salcido, the left back from PSV Eindhoven. Yeah, plenty of international football. It's his 75th cap tonight. And here is the French again with Toulalon, who might be caught in possession. Sagna got Toulalon into trouble there, and Tirado is all over the back of him and fouls him. I thought that was going to come eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just got to be careful, Tirado, hasn't he? Been booked already, and certainly one player they can't be doing without in their final game. Yeah,
booked in the opening game, so a yellow card tonight would mean he would be suspended for Mexico's final group match, which is against Uruguay. And we're just seeing a shot. I'm looking now down there. We can't actually see from our angle, but the French substitutes have got tartan blankets on their knees. Good gracious.
It's the Winter
Whatever
Olympics.
Next. They're sitting there, a line of them in that Perspex dugout. Domenech standing up, and to his right, the line of French substitutes with blankets on their knees. Goodness me. Well, that's the French bench, I should stress. Here's Anelka. Ribéry through the middle, couldn't wriggle his way through, and the Mexicans have got it back in front of their own penalty area. There'll be plenty of people inside the stadium smiling at the fact that the French have got the blankets on their knees. I noticed that Franco is off the field just down here. It's Vela who's off the field just to the left-hand side, and he's taken a bang. He's back on his feet, and I think he will come back onto the field. Mexico currently with 10 men, though. Ball forward from Rafael Marquez, but beyond Giovanni, who had to move to his left. And the French have it back with Diaby, who strides forward from centre field, passes it through the middle to Gova, who tried to flick it on the turn and only succeeded at flicking it straight into Rodriguez, and it bounced through for the Mexicans to clear. Vela's back on the field. Aguirre is concerned about him, though.
Yeah, he's struggling. It's a hamstring.
Ribéry loses it, but gets it back. And now Diaby to the right-hand side. Yeah, Vela can hardly move. Anelka, 25 yards out, on his left foot. Gova with a flick, doesn't work either, and it's cleared away by Salcido. And yeah, Vela, next time the ball's out of play, will surely be substituted. And in fact, he goes to ground now. He can hardly move.
Yeah, it's his hamstring, isn't he, on his right leg? Very unfortunate.
That's a shame for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of... You know, he's played a lot of football in the last month or so with the international friendly as well, and he's not used to it at Arsenal, where he's only used every now and again. He's just overstretched, hasn't he?
Yeah, remember when Toulalon had the ball on this right-hand side and was eventually fouled. The initial stretch for Mexico was by Vela. So the Arsenal man with Arsene Wenger watching from even higher up in the stand near us. is watching Carlos Vela leaving the field, and with a hamstring injury, as it appears, that would probably be the end of his World Cup.
And what do you make of that one, John? I saw Arsene Wenger in the press room, and he had a suit on.
Yes.
That you wouldn't got much change out of a couple of £1,000, wearing a pair of white training shoes.
I did
not
notice
worth £2, I can guarantee you. Why is that all about?
Grey suit and training shoes.
That can't be a fashion, surely.
Jan.
It might be now.
Jan, the French. Yeah, French are the kings of fashion.
Individuals, yeah.
By the end of this World
sure.
Cup, we'll all be turning up with suits.
They can't be his training shoes, can they? I mean, Arsene Wenger is a neat and tidy man.
Maybe he's got trouble with corns.
Maybe.
Who knows? It's going to be Pablo Barrera who's going to come on for the Mexicans, but Vela is off the field. Mexico still playing with 10 men at the moment. It's 0-0 on 5 Live here in Polokwane. And Govu, 25 yards out, touches it to his left to Malouda. Evra's made ground on the left, but it comes back out to the right-hand side to Sanya. Low ball in, but hits the first man, who's Tirado, and deflects off him and out of play for a corner to the French. And now Barrera. Pablo Barrera, right-sided midfielder, very quick, came on against England at Wembley. He's onto the field, and he's roared on by all of the Mexicans.
Oh, they like this one, don't they?
They do, he's popular.
There's a few green shirts here as well.
A few, thousands of them have made their way here to north-east South Africa. Corner to the French, still 0-0. And it's going to be taken left-footed by Malouda. It's over everyone inside the penalty area and bounces out rather limply for a throw-in out on the right-hand side to Mexico. So half an hour play. Oh. Sorry? I can't compete against that.
It's that loud you can't hear it.
Deepest voice I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's 0-0, half an hour played. Sum it up, Jan, so far. In fact, you can do that in a moment, because Anelka's on the edge of the area. Challenge comes in on him, but the ball bounces back to the Mexican goal.
Well, the best way of summing this up is that it's been okay, but it's desperate for the goal. You know, I think if we could get a goal before half-time, it will really liven things up in the second half. But the longer we go, and both teams might just be happy taking a point.
It goes out to the right-hand side from Barrera, and then it's infield from Juarez. Now to the left-hand side. Salcido's got it. He's had a couple of chances to score already in the game, the left back. Right-footed ball in, takes a deflection as Loris came for it, and it bounces off Barrera and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, but the goalkeeper had a problem because he didn't see Barrera. Barrera come from behind him again. It was a measured cross. Barrera comes from behind. The goalkeeper sort of punches the ball, I think, into the chest of the attacker, into his face actually, and it goes behind for the goal kick. But a little bit of luck on the goalkeeper's part there. Jan
Molby with us, former Denmark and Liverpool midfielder. France 0, Mexico 0. At half-time we're going to be hearing from Diego Maradona, by the way, or at least we'll be playing his, what I'm told is, I haven't heard it myself yet, very entertaining press conference after the 4-1 win against South Korea. And I was told to tell you that you don't want to miss it. So listen at half-time for Diego Maradona. He has a Anelka for France, just next to the centre circle. And then the ball runs away from Diaby, and Marquez is able to play it back to goalkeeper Perez. It's a cool night here. I set a new World Cup record last night, personal record. First time during a World Cup that I've slept with a hot water bottle. In fact, I nicked your hot water bottle.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah. Well, you said you didn't want it.
No, very generous. I'm a very generous man, generally.
Yeah.
I did indeed sleep with my socks on, though.
You slept with your socks on?
I had no choice in my honeymoon suite.
You got the biggest room, so I got the hot water bottle. Hey, and stop laughing at the French with their blankets.
Yeah,
after you, Scandinavian with your socks on in bed. Here's Ribéry on the halfway line. Juarez forces him to turn and give it back behind him to Evra, and then Govu again to Malouda. It's very congested in the central area. Malouda tracks his way from left to right and gives it to Sanya, and Sanya now down the line. Diaby's made a good run in there. He beats Tirado. Diaby left-footed ball into the middle, and it's headed away by Osorio.
Little nutmeg by Diaby, wasn't he, on Tirado?
Yeah. Ball headed forward. Oh, the Mexicans have to stretch to get it away through Rodriguez, and then Salcido does well, wins it and plays it forward. And here is Franco. Very unfortunate to be booked, Guillermo Franco, in the early stages of the game. Now it's The Mexicans' number 6, Tirado, with his 113 caps now, to the right-hand side. Osorio is going to bring it forward, and he's allowed to as well. He's got space in front of him. Juarez out there, infield towards Barrera. A couple of touches for him. Osorio just slows the pace once more, and the French can get back. Still goalless here in Polokwane. Now a low ball into the edge of the box from Osorio is misplaced. Ball runs free. Shot from distance from Tirado, but he got right underneath it. It's high and it's wide as well, and it's a goal kick to the French.
I don't think he's renowned for his goal scoring from distance, Tirado, is he? But it's just one of those moments, and we just see a picture of Carlos Vela with a big ice pack, and there's his manager, Wenger. Now, Wenger, he looks cold.
Yeah, but what the world won't know is that he's got those training shoes on.
Which, of course, his feet will be warm. But the rest of his body, he looks like he's freezing. Yeah. Now, he will be wearing thermal underwear in bed.
I hope he brought it with him. France 0, Mexico 0. But the strange thing is, and I'm really finding it difficult to get used to this, it's so cold at night. Yeah, during the day today it was lovely. I just had a t-shirt on when I went to see the Baobab tree, which you have to see when you come to this part of the world. So
you went to see the pub inside the tree.
I went to see the pub inside the tree. Here's Diaby on the right. Diaby with Sagna outside him, but Tirado gets back. Diaby stabs it down the line. Sagna will reach it, swings it over. Might have gone out first. It didn't, but because he was stretching, his cross was way beyond everyone inside the penalty area. Still danger, though, for the Mexicans, headed away by Rodriguez. Just kept in by Osorio, and then Rodriguez clears it. A touch from Juarez. And now comes back for France. Malouda away from Marquez. Might have caught him as well. It did. It's a free kick. Marquez was stretching, and Malouda just got to it first, and that meant Marquez committed the foul.
And of course, in this World Cup, from where teams have been shooting from distance from free kick, this is an opportunity. Ribéry's got hold of the ball. What are we looking at? Just over 30 yards, I guess.
The French tricolours again are waved. Mind you, the Mexican tricolours have been waved as well from the sections of the ground where their supporters are. But a free kick, so don't expect anything.
I think the biggest Mexican flag here was on our plane from Johannesburg.
I don't know how he got it on the plane. How did he get that through security? Here's Ribéry with the free kick. 4-man Mexican wall. And goalkeeper trying to arrange it. Referee waits.
31 metres.
31 metres. Ribéry with a free kick. Into the wall.
Disappointing
still,
again.
At least didn't go over the bar. Here's one to Malouda on the edge of the area. Controls it. Tries to shoot from the angle. Defender Moreno did well actually to get back in there with him. And in the end it's...
Give a goal kick?
Yeah, I was going to say it must have deflected back onto
maybe so.
Malouda.
It certainly did look like it was the defender got back.
Well, the referee was close, and he decided it was a goal kick. Oh no, he got it right.
He did get it right.
The next replay just showed us that he was correct. The Saudi Arabian referee, with 7 minutes to go to half time. It's still 0-0 here. Very entertaining crowd this evening. They've come to this far-flung part of Africa, and they've brought their fancy dress with them. I notice, this must also be a record for the number of sombreros that have ever been seen in Polokwane, with the ponchos as well, which they need here in these conditions. And I've seen Asterix and Obelix up in the top tier of the stand to our left, and we've got the Three Musketeers as well down in one corner for the French. Here's Franco to the edge of the area to Giovanni, who shoots from just inside the D but drags it 5 yards wide of the post.
He did well though, didn't he, Dos Santos? He showed good strength as the ball is played in. You know, he's off balance already with Evra behind him, but he holds him off and gets a shot in. In the end he drags it well wide, but he showed real strength to get the opportunity to have the shot.
Might sound strange this, but to me in the game so far the French have been more threatening, but the Mexicans have actually probably come a good deal closer to opening the scoring.
Yeah, I think you might just be right. They've certainly shown more already, the French, than what they did in what was a disappointing first game against Uruguay. So, but then again, Uruguay might just be better than what we assume.
And they've got that danger up front. Forlan, who's looked good, and Suarez, who hasn't yet, but there's time yet.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I mean, he's tricky to play against, isn't he? Because he plays in the shoulder to defenders. He always looks to wanting to go in behind.
Yes, in the first press conference of this World Cup, when we were about to cover the Uruguay game, there was that journalist, because there was a question about Suarez, the Uruguayan centre forward, suggestion being that he was a diver, and whichever nationality the reporter next to us obviously didn't understand the connotations on that and thought that he meant that he actually liked scuba diving. Yeah. But I think since the two matches that we've seen,
we know
exactly
what he meant. He likes to go down.
He does. France 0, Mexico 0. France, the World Cup winners of 1998, and Mexico, who peculiarly have gone out in the last 16 in the last 4 World Cups. The French with Ribéry, who's moved out towards the left-hand side. Mexico have got it back, and they're bouncing, the Mexicans.
They're keeping warm.
That's probably why they're bouncing. Surely we will see a Mexican wave this evening at some stage. Here's Govou now, who's dropped very deep towards the halfway line. Sagna now on the right. Diaby, who's been quite bright. He's covered a lot of ground, Abu Diaby of Arsenal. He's got it in the full-back position at the moment, and he wins a throw-in off Salcido.
He's a good player, though, isn't he, Diaby, when he's at it? The only thing is he's incredibly inconsistent.
Yeah, Abu Diaby at his first senior tournament, after being preferred in terms of the selection of Domènech to Patrick Vieira. Throw-in that Sagna will take in towards the near post. Anelka was after it. Govou with a shot. Hit Marquez on the side of the head, I think, and rebounded off the field on this right-hand side for another throw to the French. With 4 minutes of the first 45 to play. Sagna with this looping throw to the near post. It is headed down and then spectacularly clear. Cheers from the South African supporters, I think, for that overhead kick away by Salcido out of play.
It was in the best Hugo Sanchez style, wasn't it?
With Hugo Sanchez just sitting up to our right, who seems to have aged quite well. When you picked him out, Jan, he was belting out the Mexican national anthem, wasn't he?
Most definitely.
Like there was no tomorrow. Here's Salcido, who clears away from his own defensive third up towards Franco, and Franco turns and then beats Toulalan a second time. Diaby's come back, so Franco has to play it to his right, and Osorio comes up at pace, and Osorio swings a high ball into the penalty area, but too close to Lloris, the goalkeeper, who catches it.
Yeah, we could see what he wanted to do. He wanted to go right across to Barrera. Didn't quite get it right. It was a good take by Franco, first touch, but didn't quite get it moved on quickly enough then.
The other thing I noticed from Hugo Sanchez and the Mexicans as well around the ground, sort of hold their right arm sideways across their chest when they're singing the national anthem. Here's Barrera, who's appeared on the left-hand side with his speed. Beats Sagna, pulls it into the area, and it's cleared away in the middle for France by Abidal. And the Mexicans with the pass forward from Salcido, but I'm not sure Giovanni Dos Santos was quite expecting that, and the French were able to clear it. And Anelka jumps for it, and it's put out of play off Moreno for a throw to the French, 15 yards inside the Mexican half. Still goalless in Group A after the Uruguayans went clear at the top of the table with their win last night against South Africa. So, first goal, very important in this game, particularly the longer it goes goalless. The Mexicans with the substitute, Barrera, who came on for Vela in the latter part of the first half.
Looks lively, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Very quick.
Here's the French number 7, who is, oh goodness, well, Franco has done something to upset the referee. There was the slightest of nudges on Ribéry, and it was a free kick instantly that the French took quickly. Still with it inside their own half. Gallas to the right-hand side to Sagna. Then infield to Toulalan. Forward to Govou, who tried another laboured flick that didn't really work, but the French still have it. But Ribéry has been dispossessed by Giovanni. And now Tirado to Marquez of Barcelona. Rafael Marquez, right-footed and forward, couldn't find Barrera, headed away by Gallas. Toulalan now is crowded out by 3 Mexicans, and it's Giovanni Dos Santos. Little ball in field, but that wasn't quite right either, and the French have it again with Malouda in the centre circle. Scrappy little piece of play at the moment. Breaks free for Diaby. Now Anelka's got it on the left. Anelka up against Rodriguez. Anelka shoots, but it's straight at goalkeeper Perez, who looked for a moment there as he thought it was going to bend away from him, but he pulled it into his chest and held it.
Yeah, I think that it looked like the defender was in trouble, didn't it? 1-on-1 against Anelka. But as he's come back inside, I think the defender's just blocked the shot. Hence the reason in the end he was a very comfortable save for the goalkeeper.
So in the last minute of the first half, here at the Peter Mokaba Stadium in Polokwane, a smallish town really, of only round about 100,000 people, and it doesn't take long to get rustic outside the town of Polokwane, I can tell you. Here's Ribéry now in the centre circle after Diaby won it. Ribéry carries it forward, but then is dispossessed and wins a free kick for the challenge of Moreno.
Really?
You think?
No, I don't. I think you're right when you said he was dispossessed. But then the referee appears to be obsessed, given away.
Well, I think he's rather fortunate to get that free kick, Ribéry, particularly when we see the replay. Doesn't matter though, Jan, because it's a free kick from 30 yards.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's Nicholas Anelka's turn to be back on, it looks like. So what's he going to do this time? Was that the Mexican coach we saw on the touchline? Going absolutely bananas.
And rightly so. So we're in the... Well, see if you can guess how many minutes of added time there were, in case you didn't hear the announcement. So, into the wall or over the bar, Jan?
Most
Which
likely.
one's it going to be?
Yeah, most likely to be over the wall.
I'm going to go for...
over the bar.
It's into the wall from Anelka. You got it wrong. And the Mexicans look to counter-attack here through Franco, who is cynically balked by Toulanon. He might as well have said to the referee, show me a yellow card.
He's took one for the team, hasn't he? Because as Franco was just about to go past him, it was just about to become 4 against 1. He had to do that, Toulanon.
And that means Toulanon will not be available for the game against South Africa in Bloemfontein next Tuesday.
He had to take that one, John.
He did, and he took it, and he took the yellow card that followed. And one or two of the Mexicans down there, I don't think are entirely satisfied with the way that Khalil Al-Gamdi has refereed the first half. And they're making their feelings known. And now Franco comes across and is in deep discussions with the referee. So before the PA starts, Jan, quickly, tell us what you thought of the first half, 0-0.
Yeah, I think as they go in, I think the Mexican will be the happier of the two, because they haven't hit the heights they're capable of, and they know that in the second half they can possibly play better. The French, again, after the bright start, just don't look like where they're going to get the goals from.
So listen out for Diego Maradona at half-time. But here in Polokwane, in Limpopo province, it's France 0, Mexico 0 at half-time.
The Mexican team are out on the field of play, just knocking a few balls around to keep warm. Around half of the French side are out there. I'm more intrigued to see the substitutes come out. I wonder in the dressing room, Jan, whether they've been deciding, along with their picnic blankets, who's going to bring the corkscrew for the Chablais and who's going to bring the cheese and crackers out for the second half.
It did indeed look like a cold picnic, didn't it? Well, let's hope that it gets slightly better. As I said, it wasn't a bad game in the first half, but just so desperate for the goal.
Looking around, Mexico certainly unchanged from the first 45, and I'm just looking across the French side. There is going to be a change, and it's going to be André-Pierre Gignac, the Toulouse striker, who's come onto the field of play in place of Nicholas Anelka, I think, as Mexico kick off and lose the ball straight away to the substitute Gignac, who makes an immediate impact and plays it wide on the right to Sidney Govou, back to Toulanon, early ball into the box, plenty of intent at the start of the second half by France, and it's Malouda who lays it off to Evra, 25 yards out, goes down under a challenge. It's an early free kick to France, and that was, I think, a tame one.
Yeah, well, again, but they have a problem here, the French, don't they, because Anelka's not on the pitch to take any free kicks. Evra's gone down again. I'm not surprised. Anelka was poor. He was poor in the first game, he was poor in the first half, but I'm still surprised that he decided to take him off half-time. I'm not sure whether he might have picked up a little bit of a knock.
Well, Evra has also picked up a knock here, and he's just hobbling away from the ball, which is placed about 30 yards from goal, towards the left-hand angle of the penalty area. France, incidentally, in all blue, attacking the goal away to our left in this second half. Mexico in their green shirts, white shorts and white socks. 5 of their players in a wall, just a couple of yards in from the edge of the penalty area. In fact, that's now reduced to 4. Referee Khalil Al-Gamdi of Saudi Arabia gets the wall in place. Ribéry prepares to take it. Right foot, a delicate chip in, headed away by Dos Santos. And then thumped clear by the Mexico captain Rafael Marquez to this near side, where it's headed into touch by Eric Abidal. Let me run you through the two teams. France, who have made that change at half-time, have Hugo Lloris in goal. Across the back from right to left, Bakary Sagna, William Gallas, Eric Abidal and captain Patrice Evra. Midfield, the anchoring two of Jeremy Toulalon, who has been booked tonight and will miss their final group game because he was booked in the first match of the tournament, is playing alongside Abu Diaby. And then, just behind the striker, now Gignac, is Ribéry. The referee's awarded another free kick. I missed what happened there, Jan.
Well, what actually happened was there was a free kick for the Mexicans, and that the ball has rolled loose. Malouda, and I'm not sure, but he just kicked the ball against the Mexican player who was on the ground already. The Mexican players jumped up, reacted, pushed Malouda in the back.
The referee, Algandi, wants to have a word here, and there's another yellow card being given, and this to a Mexican player for a push, I think.
Yeah.
And that was Efrain Juarez, who, like Jeremy Toulalon, will miss the last game of the group stage, this time for Mexico.
He was the player fouled, and while he was on the ground, Malouda hit him with the ball. He's reacted and got himself a yellow card for it.
So he won't play against Uruguay, whereas Toulalon won't play against South Africa. Down the right, Barrera for Mexico, away to our right, tricks his way into the penalty area, and it's scythed clear by Patrice Evra, but only as far as the Mexico captain, Rafael Marquez. I'll run through the two teams in full when I get the opportunity, but it's a very brisk start to the second half as Malouda runs down the left. Challenge comes in, the ball wasn't taken, the player was taken, and another yellow card is going to be given, this time for Hector Moreno, who doesn't even turn to look at the referee. He's run right away from him, and he's going to be followed to the edge of the penalty area and then asked to come over, because he's going to get a yellow card as well.
Again, I felt it was one of those needless challenges, wasn't it? He could have just gone across and maybe jockeyed Malouda to try and dive in. I think he had a feeling that he was never going to get there. But it is getting a bit, isn't it? Getting a bit feisty, this one.
Well, it's 0-0, it's tight. They both threw their first games, it's understandable. I was saying there, Ribéry tonight is playing just behind the striker, who's now Gignac. Malouda's on the left and Govou on the right. I'll go through the Mexico side in a moment, but a free kick wide on the left for France. Sent in by Ribéry, headed away by Mexico towards the halfway line. Headed back by Jeremy Toulalon, but straight at Gerardo Torrado, who sends it down the left for Pablo Barrera, who has made a real impact since he came off the bench in the first half. And he plays it back down the line to Salcido, and Mexico try and build down the left. Salcido gets away from one challenge, comes into centre field, goes down. I'm not sure whether that was a foul, and it's a free kick though.
It wasn't a foul, was it? But again, it's Salcido down the left. He's a wonderful footballer. It was a little nutmeg. He's gone to shoot. Bakary Sagna has just nuts the ball away, falls over. Referee 2 yards away, gives a foul.
Well, you might give him a slight benefit of the doubt if this was his first game at a World Cup finals, but he was in Germany, so he's got experience, Khalil Al-Hamdi. It's a free kick to Mexico then, almost 30 yards out, towards the left. Giovanni Dos Santos and Rafael Marquez are behind this. Marquez the right footer, Dos Santos the left footer. The wall is on the edge of the penalty area. Dos Santos lets it go. Marquez plays it down the line into the hole for Dos Santos. He guides it to the edge of the 6-yard area. Barrera then comes with the ball, but he can't keep it down, and he lofts it behind Lloris's goal, and it does finally give me the chance to go through the Mexico team. They have Oscar Perez in goal. Across the back, Ricardo Osorio, Hector Moreno, who was booked a moment ago, Francisco Rodriguez and Carlos Salcido. I wonder if a Mexican wave has started. I can hear some noise in the background. Rafael Marquez is the captain in central midfield. Efrain Juarez and Gerardo Torrado are playing either side of him. And then up front, either side of Guillermo Franco, we have Pablo Barrera on the left and Giovanni Dos Santos on the right, although we expect them to switch during the course of the second 45 minutes. We've had 6 of the second half, and it's still France 0, Mexico 0.
Yeah, not a lot of change from the first half, although as we mentioned before, it is getting a little bit more feisty. There's been a number of free kicks and bookings already, but I think the Mexicans will feel that this second half here now, they need to push forward and try and win the game.
Rosario puts in a cross, which Franco runs at. He can't make a decent contact, and it just guides its way out to the far side of the field and out for a goal kick to France, which Hugo Lloris will take. Liverpool fans will remember him from last season in the Champions League. His performance helped Lyon get past Liverpool. 23 years of age, Hugo Lloris, and
many observers think he's destined for the top.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that if not this summer, certainly in the near future, he'll be getting a big move away from Lyon to one of the big boys.
Certainly France's number one at the moment. He's kept Mexico at bay, as has Perez at the other end. But I think we might be surprised, given that these teams need to get a victory here, if it does end this way. This would be the perfect result for South Africa.
It would certainly give him a real chance, wouldn't it? In the last game, the only thing that slightly worries you is the way they played last night.
And they've got to beat France.
I don't think there's many teams in international football, or many teams that qualify for the World Cup, they can beat based on how they played last night.
Here's Marquez for Mexico. Chips the ball down centre field. Giovanni Dos Santos was the target. Cut out, though, by Eric Abidal, who plays it to Bakary Sagna. Long ball downfield, straight at the red-shirted Perez, who just bowls the ball into the feet of a Mexico player. As we look at the bench, which there's some movement. Javier Aguirre is having a discussion with one of his players who's about to come on. France have won a free kick in the meantime for a foul on Abu Diaby, so France will have a set piece, and it's going to be that man who Manchester United fans will get to know next season, Javier Hernandez. He's joining United from Guadalajara, the 22-year-old whose grandfather has played at a World Cup. As Malouda strikes the ball from just inside the area, and Perez is forced to tip it over the crossbar, and that is by far France's best chance of the game.
Yeah, it was indeed. They just moved the ball inside when Malouda, on his weaker right foot, hits the ball straight at the goalkeeper. Easy enough save.
Corner then to France. Franck Ribéry is going to take it. He wants another ball. He gets two. Just like the buses. It's a cold night in Polokwane, but we've yet to see a goal with almost 9 minutes of the second half played. Ribéry with a corner into the 6-yard box. Again, Perez with a double-fisted punch. He did that in the first half. And now Ribéry has it back down the left. Checks in on his right foot. Goes back to his left. Towards the byline. Low cross. Guided away by Marquez. And then hook clear upfield towards Dos Santos, who's holding Eric Abidal, according to the referee. He can't believe it, Dos Santos. It's a free kick to France, and now the substitution is going to be made, and Efrain Juarez, who will play no further part in the group stages because he can't play in the last game, comes off, and on comes Javier Hernandez.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they decide to go now, the Mexicans, whether they're going to go with a 4-4-2, but it's certainly what we thought before. The greater need is with Mexico.
Here come France, though. Ribéry shoots this time, and again Perez palms the ball away, and it's a corner to France.
Yeah, they'll feel, just to finish up what we were saying, they'll feel this is a game they need to win, the Mexicans, to give them a real chance of going through.
Having to defend here as Ribéry sends it to the back post, headed away by Rodriguez, and then out of play on the far side for a France throw, and they're certainly exerting some pressure here, the French.
Yeah, they have little spells in the first half as well, isn't it? Without really creating any great goal-scoring opportunity. Just lack that penalty box man who spends all his time in there, wants to score goals. I mean, Trezeguet was that type of a striker, wasn't he? Plays in the penalty area, scores goals, gets easy goals. They don't have that anymore.
The team who lost out in a penalty shootout to Italy 4 years ago in Germany are desperately trying to make a breakthrough here, but that's a foul by Diaby, and it's going to be a free kick to Mexico, 10 yards inside their own half, and there's plenty of pacing around the technical area being done by Javier Aguirre and his opposite number, Ramon Domenech, who's wearing a black Motti-style sheepskin coat tonight. It has that kind of, you're talking about Paris fashion, it's got that sort of Parisian feel to it, hasn't it?
Wenger's training shoes, didn't it?
Ball's hooked up into the air by Toulalan, drops right on the touchline on the far side, and it's gone out of play again. We're fortunate here. We get
No, he is.
the assistance of corners and shots on goal.
Yeah, he's given a foul, hasn't he, the referee? Of course he has.
But we've had so many free kicks in this game. Very whistle happy, Mr. Al-Ghamdi. This time it's Mexico's set piece. A couple of yards in from the touchline on the left. Salcedo makes a break down the line. But I think the free kick's going to be sent in here by Tirado. There's something going on the edge of the area. The referee wants to have a quick word with a couple of players. Cut it out, he says. He's basically talking to everybody standing in or around the D.
And then as the cross comes in, he'll give a foul for the defending team.
Everybody wants to find their own space in these positions. They're all moving around now. Oh, it's a dreadful free kick by Tirado, who, even though he was a long way out, managed to clear the crossbar.
No, that was not good, was it? Not good at all. And they are opportunities, set pieces. Put good deliveries into the penalty box, put the opposition under pressure. Not happening.
Ball's off the head of Barrera, out for a throw to France. It lands in the little hut between the two dugouts. Little tiny dugout for the officials. It's Ribéry. Leaves it for Malouda. Malouda, though, touches it behind Abu Diaby, and it's collected by Guillermo Franco, who plays it to the right of Giovanni Dos Santos, who's really battling for that ball furiously with Eric Abidal. Eventually, Dos Santos hits the deck, and Mexico have a free kick.
Yeah, unfortunately for Franco, as he retrieved that ball, the two Mexican players ahead of him made identical runs. They both sort of ran in where he couldn't guide the pass, hence the reason that Dos Santos had to fight as hard as he did with Abidal to try and retrieve the situation.
Earlier today, victories for Greece and Argentina against Nigeria and South Korea respectively in Group B. Here in Group A, it's France 0, Mexico 0, with 13 minutes of the second half played. Giovanni Dos Santos preparing to take the free kick. Plenty of movement from the green shirts, and just like Tirado on the other side of the pitch, Dos Santos clears the crossbar.
I mean, what is this all about? I mean, no pressure, free kick, 45 yards out, right on the touchline, just lofted into the penalty area, keep the ball alive. We've just seen two pathetic attempts.
Can you blame the ball?
No, not for that, because you can just hang it in, can't you? You can just lift the ball into the penalty area and keep it alive for somebody to go and try and win it. No, for that you cannot blame the ball.
Jan Mulby on 5 Live from the BBC, and Hernandez was almost set clear there, but somebody was offside. I think it might have been either Franco or Dos Santos, so France have a free kick. Remember, tomorrow on 5 Live you can hear commentary of Germany against Serbia, Slovenia against the USA, and in the evening England, Algeria. Here's Malouda on the edge of the box for France, falls to his backside, but Ribéry hustles back to win the ball for France. Our programme starts at 6:30 live from Cape Town. England's second match of the group phase after their 1-1 draw in the opening match. Here's William Gallas out wide to the far side of the field. Diaby into Govou. I've hardly mentioned Sidney Govou's name.
He's been poor, hasn't he? And I also think when he hasn't been involved and when there's been opportunity for him to get forward, he hasn't shown any real desire to want to get into it.
There was an opportunity towards the end of the first half.
It's incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was so much space on the right, and he trotted his way forward.
Incredible.
Here come France, though. Toulalan into the right channel for Gignac to get, but he can't get there. It's gone out for a corner, though, to France, which Malouda has gone across to take. We've had an hour here in Polokwane.
And if ever we were desperate for the goal, it's here tonight.
Allez le Bleu from the fans in that corner behind Florent Malouda, plenty of them waving their flags and their banners as Malouda prepares to send in an in-swinging corner kick to the edge of the 6-yard area, and William Gallas, standing right in the middle, manages to head the ball up and away from goal.
I think the referees give a foul already for Gallas's push in the back off the defender. Franco, he hardly ever touched him as it happens, but the referee's definitely in tune with what he's been at all night. Give a free kick, because he gives free kick for almost nothing. But it was an opportunity, nevertheless.
The last of the group games in Group A are next Tuesday in Rustenburg. It's going to be Mexico against Uruguay, and in Bloemfontein, France versus South Africa. This is very hopeful for South Africa at the moment as it stands, as Mexico bring on their veteran striker He's hugely popular in his home country, and he's going to win his 117th cap tonight. Cuauhtémoc Blanco is about to come onto the field of play, and coming off is Guillermo Franco.
Now,
Blanco for Franco.
What a headline that would be if the old man is to come off the bench and nick the winner. The Mexicans go mad. This is what they wanted.
They're doing that "we're not worthy" little sign where they push their arms up and down. Crossed into the box, and it's Blanco who's after that straight away.
He's just given a few instructions to his teammates.
Is he wearing a scarf? He's got gloves on. Looks like he's wearing some neck warmer. Cross from the left by Salcedo. Great ball in. Up in the air by Abidal on the edge of the France 6-yard area. Laid off by Marquez. Right-hand angle of the box now. Barrera crosses in. Deep to the far post. Dos Santos was teeing up a volley, but it's away by Sagna.
Did well, Sagna. He had to defend that far cross. It was just about to dip down for Dos Santos to have a shot. Good defending.
Here's Marquez with a long-distance effort. He drilled that quite well, but there wasn't enough accuracy. It was straight at the France goalkeeper, Hugo Lloris, in an all silvery grey uniform this evening. As we watch on in Polokwane on a bitterly cold night, it's still 0-0 here.
He looks a technically very good keeper, Lloris. Good hands, he kicks well, good position.
The France, in actual fact, did ask for a replacement for their third choice keeper, Cedric Carasso, because he's injured, but they were refused by FIFA. The tournament is underway, and they do have another goalkeeper in Steve Mandanda. The forward here is a chance for Mexico. He's onside. Hernandez around Lloris. He scored to the delight of the bench and the fans on the far side of the field. Mexico have taken the lead after 18 minutes of the second half. France have been stung. It's France 0, Mexico 1.
Well, give credit to the coach. You know, he's gone looking for a goal, hasn't he? I mean, it was a ball over the top. It definitely looked like the player was offside. The assistant hasn't given it. Fernandez is clean to with the goalkeeper, takes it on, puts him into an empty net, and they've gone looking for that one. We'll just see it again as he makes his run forward. Oh, it's one of those, isn't it? Abidal again is the man who's been coying. He's coming out. Javier Hernandez is going forward. Round the goalkeeper, into an empty net. Credit to the Mexicans. They went looking for the win.
I think he was level, dead level with Abidal.
It's one of those, isn't it? Defenders coming out, strikers going the other way. It was the pass forward, I think, from Marquez. Perfect pass, perfect goal. What have they got now, the French?
Well, one or two complaints that he might well have been offside. Javier Hernandez, and he's barely been on the field 10 minutes, and he's broken the deadlock. France have really got to come out of the blocks now, and Govu's got to rise to the occasion. He's been very quiet. Here's Evra attacking the goal away to our left. Ribéry tries to do a Dennis Bergkamp style spin round a defender, and France have won a throw.
No, leave things like that to Dennis. Not every player is capable of doing that, but certainly now the French, I believe, will be playing for their World Cup future.
Well, remember 2002? Went out in the group stages.
Yeah, but they were in group
with a whimper.
They were in the group with Denmark, though. It's fully understandable.
Oh, I forgot that.
Fully understandable.
France trail by a goal to 0. They have 25 minutes to recover here. Ribéry with a free kick, a couple of yards in from the corner flag on the France left. Looks up, right-footed, low to the near post, headed away by a Mexico defender. Back in by Evra. Several blue shirts wait for the ball to drop. Mexico clear, and it's got to be collected on the far side by Abidal.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is the way they're playing, the French, isn't it? But I think if you look at the personnel on it, there's just one or two players you think now the French have to make changes. Raymond is still standing on a touchline. I'm not too sure he knows what to do, but he needs to do something pretty quick, because the Mexican coach did things, didn't he? Pretty early in the second half, he made his intention clears, positive substitutions, get on strikers who's getting me goals. He's got his reward.
Less than 9 minutes in actual fact between Hernandez coming on and scoring the goal which divides the two teams. Dominic stands with his hands in his pockets, as does Aguirre, just 15 feet to his right. Ribéry with a free kick out on the left, just outside the penalty area for France. Two men in the Mexico wall. Ribéry, right-footed, plays it towards the near post. It's a wasteful free kick.
Another one. And we've seen a few of them, not just the French, the Mexican has been as bad as well.
The Mexicans pick up the ball with Giovanni Dos Santos on the far side, who touches it out of play, and I think he might well have fouled one of the France players in the process. So it's a free kick to France on the right wing this side, which Florent Malouda will take.
Yeah, it's another opportunity again, and we've got 21 players in the Mexican half. Thierry Henry, we just see a picture of still sitting on the bench. He must have done something to upset Raymond.
Thierry Henry sits and waits. Will he be called upon here? They might need him. Malouda with a free kick. In-swinger, driven in low, flicked on towards the back post by, I think, a Mexico defender, but no, it was a France player, and it's out for a goal kick.
It might have been Bakary Sakné. Here they come now, the truth. A couple of French boys, I think they might be looking at one or two substitutions.
A couple of players being called over by one of Ramon Domenech's assistants as Oscar Perez prepares to take the goal kick. Look at the Mexico fans on the far side.
They're going bananas.
Hundreds of them in both tiers of that stand. Thousands. In green.
I mean, to be fair, wherever you go in South Africa, you see Mexican. Their fans have been magnificent. Real colourful.
Mathieu Valbuena is about to come on for France. And I think at the midway point of the second half, with the ponchos bouncing up and down and the sombreros being waved in the air, it's a good time to hand to John Murray.
France 0, Mexico 1. And Mexico with Marquez, who plays it through, but overhit that through to Lloris, the goalkeeper. And for the goal, Jan, that was scored by Manchester United's new man, Hernandez, onside or offside?
Well, I think
very close.
Yeah, it was very close, wasn't it?
Do you know,
we give the benefit to the striker because we want to see goals.
Yeah, and I can't disagree with that. I feel he probably was just off.
No, you might just be right, John. But he's got pace, hasn't he? He's got an eye for goal. He wants to run forward. You know, he's one of those, and I think he's going to be a pest to play against because he's at it non-stop, Hernandez.
Yeah, be interesting to hear maybe a little later in the game what you think of him. And here comes Valbuena now, Marseille attacking midfielder, who they tell us did very well in the second half of last season, and he takes over from
player number 20, Mateo Valbuena, in for player number 10, Sidney Govroux.
Yeah, Sidney Govroux comes off, and he's had a very disappointing night. And
you're so nice when you describe it, John. His performance disappointing.
Well, it was poor. Here's Malouda now from the halfway line, looks up, hits the shot, but it's blocked by a sliding Marquez, and the green shirts of Mexico have got it back. And that's a lovely little shimmy from Barrera, and now it's infield to the goal scorer, Hernandez, who gives it out to the right hand side, but Barrera can't reach that, and Abidal's able to see it through for a goal kick. So France in big trouble here.
Yeah, they are. The only problem Mexico could have is that with the players they've got on the field at the moment, they've almost got a 4-2-4 system. They're very attack minded. Can they hold on? You have to assume they're going to be coming under some pressure in the last 20 minutes or so.
So 1-0 to the Mexicans, and Domenech deciding to bring on Valbuena, who is winning only his third cap tonight.
Is that
with
fair?
Thierry Henry still sitting on the bench.
Is that fair on such a young boy?
Well,
go on then.
My thoughts entirely.
Go on, save it for us.
And the Mexicans with a throw in halfway inside the French half. Salcido takes this, and it's clipped forward into the penalty area to Giovanni, who's at an angle, and he pulls it across the 6-yard box, but there's no one there for Mexico, and it runs through for a French throw on this left-hand side.
Yeah, it was almost an opportunity. I mean, let's get one thing clear. We talk about Thierry Henry. It's not the Thierry Henry any longer that terrorised Premier League defenders, but still, you would think, wouldn't you? At this stage, he might just be the man.
Yeah, and in the position that they are in here, he's the man that has done it before, and very often that can count for a great deal.
Also, what does it do to the Mexicans if they see Thierry Henry coming on?
Quite. 20 minutes to play. 1-0 to Mexico on BBC 5 Live here at the South Africa World Cup, as the ball is played down the right for Barrera to chase, but he can't reach it, and it's through for a goal kick.
We should also stress that losing tonight does not knock out France. They still have an opportunity. although it looks highly unlikely.
But the big twist would be, if it stays like this, that Uruguay and Mexico would have 4 points each, and Uruguay and Mexico play each other in the final match in the group, and a draw would take them both through. But there's still 20 minutes to play yet of this game, and the French have to find a goal from somewhere.
Do you remember Denmark-Sweden, Euros 2004?
Do you remember West Germany and Austria?
Well, at least Denmark-Sweden wasn't as pathetic as that one,
No,
wasn't it?
that was...
Denmark-Sweden, they had to draw 2-2, and guess what? They managed to do that. But at least it was entertaining.
Well, West Germany-Austria was probably the greatest carve-up in international football that's ever been seen. Here's Diaby, who's been a little quiet in the second half. I must say the Mexicans, to me, look brighter. Ball played through, but Giovanni Dos Santos was in an offside position this time, and it's a free kick to the French.
Well, what they've actually gone back to, the Mexicans, is how we saw them play at Wembley. It's how we saw them play when they played the Italians the other week, beat them 2-1. It's free flow and it's attack minded, and they've got 3 or 4 players at every opportunity running forward, trying to create space and chances.
Notice a couple of water bottles were thrown down, plastic water bottles from the stand on the opposite side of the ground. Just in the past few moments. Fortunately, they didn't hit anyone, because if they had, I suspect they would have hurt. Here's Evra on the left, the French captain, infield towards Malouda. Malouda beats Osorio. Malouda's crossed into the penalty area, but over the top of substitute Gignac, and through for a goal kick. And they're not really threatening the French.
No, they're not. I mean, if I was the manager, I would have to go to a 4-4-2 system. Get a couple of strikers in the penalty area. You've got something to hit. They've had nobody in there all evening, and even the substitute who's come on, he hasn't been able to make an impression either.
Henry has now been sent to warm up, and he trots down the touchline.
He doesn't look over keen, does he?
He does not. He's got the body language of a player who's not necessarily going to come on. Dominic has got one change that he can make. The Mexicans have made all 3 substitutions. Mexico leading by a 1-0. Javier Hernandez in the 64th minute of the game, when it was very, very close, and he probably was just offside, but a very close call for the assistant. Marquez loses out in midfield. Ribéry, now it's stabbed forward by Valbuena. Malouda to the right-hand side. Gignac is there. Gignac shoots from the angle, but got underneath it and sent it flying just a few yards high and a few yards wide and into the supporters.
Well, it was a typical 2010 Jabulani shot, wasn't it? The moment he leaves the boot, it just rises and rises and rises.
So on this atmospheric night here in the northeast of South Africa, we're only about a couple of hours drive away from the border with Mozambique, and the Kruger National Park is out in that direction as well. Been a lovely day, but a cool night, round about 4 or 5 degrees temperature. Mexicans win a free kick. Giovanni Dos Santos takes it quickly, but Hernandez, the flag is up against him, and it's a free kick to the French in front of their own penalty.
What's actually been nice tonight, we've been able to hear the singing from the fans.
Because it really would have been atmospheric tonight with these
the Mexicans,
thousands of Mexicans who
tremendous.
The way that they support their team is unrivaled. They're a cheery bunch as well, aren't they? Although I was making this point to 1 or 2 Mexican supporters when I went to see the 6,000-year-old baobab tree this morning, and they said the crowd is just being announced there, as you can hear, 35,370. I was making this point to some Mexican supporters, and they said, yes, we are cheery, but the songs that we sing aren't necessarily that way. And he was telling me about some of the songs that they were singing about Bafana Bafana when they played South Africa in the opening match, and let's just say I won't be repeating them. And the thing is, the South African supporters thought that they were all complimentary. Here's Blanco now, the ageing Blanco. Plays it into the penalty area. Giovanni Dos Santos was after it, and it had beaten Sanya, but the ball runs away from Giovanni and through for a goal kick.
Yeah, they're still looking for that second goal, aren't they? Mexico again not scared to commit people forward. This time again they had 5 men forward. One of them was actually the defensive midfield player Torrado.
And what's Thierry Henry doing, I wonder? He's still there with 5 of his teammates in the orange bibs behind Perez's goal to our left, warming up. And the free kick to the Mexicans halfway inside their own half after and it's come forward. Rodriguez comes forward to take the free kick. Ribéry in a central area.
No,
hasn't really worked tonight, has it?
Not for me at all. It does not work.
Mexicans in possession.
He doesn't see enough for my money, John.
When he's playing centrally.
Yeah, I mean he's great running at defenders at pace and whatever. He doesn't see it.
The goal scorer, Hernandez for Mexico, to the right-hand side to Barrera. Barrera up against Evra, gets his head down, pulls it across into the shins of Evra, and the ball goes bouncing away behind into an advertising hoarding as someone from up there at that end of the ground throws a beach ball down, and another man in a sombrero walks up the gangway, and it's a corner to the Mexicans. And a second goal now may well finish off the French in this game and make it very, very difficult for them to get through to the last 16. The corner is taken short. Giovanni gets it back. He's on his left foot. The ball's curled in too close to Lloris, the goalkeeper, who's able to take the catch and deliver it away downfield for Ribéry to chase after, but it was nowhere near him. And little Osorio, who can play it right back or central defence. Right back tonight. Plays it to Barrera, and Barrera uses his pace to go so easily around Evra. Into the box now. Oh, Abidal slides in. He's fouled him. It's a penalty to Mexico.
Well, first of all, you have to question Patrice Evra's defending there. As he's gone past him, Evra has just given up. He's just allowed him to go. And then I think he sees the challenge from Abidal and he goes to ground before the defender gets there.
There is contact, though.
There is contact because the attacker just continues his run into the legs of Abidal. But once you take that chance in the penalty area, there's every chance you're going to give away a penalty. And guess who's going to take it?
It's the old man. It's 37-year-old Cuauhtemoc Blanco.
The longest run-up in history.
On his 117th appearance for Mexico. It's a huge moment. And it's the man with the most experience who's been given the job. And he's actually going to start his run-up outside the D.
And the ball is not on the spot either.
The ball is placed right on the very front of the spot.
And the referee spotted it.
And he calls now Blanco across and tells him that he's going to have to put it a little further back, which Blanco does. And then as he does so, he stands with his hands wide apart as if to say, is that all right?
What about this run-up?
The referee says yes. And Blanco's back outside the D.
3-4 yards outside.
He's going to have to run between two Frenchmen, which he does now. Blanco with the penalty for Mexico. It's into the bottom corner. And Mexico lead France by 2-0. And we've got thousands and thousands of people in sombreros and ponchos who are absolutely loving it. It's France 0. Mexico 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most unusual run-up you'll ever see from a penalty. But credit to the most experienced man on the field. He tucked it away nicely into the bottom corner. 2-0. Certainly, and as far as this game is concerned, it's game over. The Mexicans, I mean, all the players, the whole bench, they're all going crazy.
Well, great celebrations for Mexico here. They've never beaten France in an international football match. And Cuauhtemoc Blanco, who was left out by Sven-Göran Eriksson and effectively retired from international football, but when Javier Aguirre took over from Eriksson and managed to take the Mexicans here to South Africa, Blanco was recalled as part of his plans, and at 37 years old he scored from the penalty spot, and Mexico lead the French by 2-0. Here's Valbuena on the right-hand side for them, though. Pulls over the cross. Cleared away inside the area by Barrera, who won the penalty. And what a burst of pace it was from Barrera to beat Evra, who is very, very quick.
But he gave up Evra, didn't he? But you have to say, the three Mexican substitutes have made an impact, haven't they? Two of them are goal scorers. Barrera's won the penalty, but apart from that, they've been superb.
The three amigos.
And what did we say at half-time? We knew that the Mexico could play better than what he did in the first half, and they've certainly done that in the second half. But credit must go to the coach. He did something about it, and he's got it absolutely spot on.
France won't be out if they lose this game, which they seem set to do, but they'll be very close to it. It'll be very difficult for them to get through, as Marquez is fouled on the edge of his own penalty area by Ribéry. It would mean that France and Uruguay would both have 4 points, and South Africa and the French would have 1 point each, and the French play South Africa next. But if it's a draw between Uruguay and Mexico, those two teams will go through, and the hosts and the 98 winners would be out.
Yeah. And if they do, I think they can have little complaints. They've started the game here well tonight. They've had their problems in the camp. The senior players have got what they wanted. They got the lineup they wanted. Then they've started it. They had a point to prove. They did okay. And I think after a while then they gave up. And I think that was very evident with the second goal. Evra just gave up.
And Raymond Domenech, the outgoing coach of France, just stands leaning up against the side of the dugout and doesn't seem as though he's about to make his one remaining substitution.
I will do
exactly
what I want.
2-0 to the Mexicans. This time tomorrow night we'll be at the similar stage of England against Algeria. Our coverage will begin from Cape Town at 6:30 with Mark Pugach in the stadium, the Greenpoint Stadium, with Graham Taylor and Chris Waddle, and commentary from 7:30 UK time tomorrow night. As there's a free kick for challenge by Rodriguez on Ribéry, and Rodriguez is yellow carded for it, so a free kick to the French.
I think what's been too much in the second half for the French has been the tempo of the Mexicans. They played at a great tempo. I mean, the altitude shouldn't be a problem to them. They're used to it, and they proved that here in the second half. But they've been by far the better team in the second half.
Free kick to the French. It's 30 yards out, between 30 and 35 probably, with just over 6 minutes to play. Ribéry clips it straight into the top of the wall, and it's blocked away to the halfway line. So with France in this position, our producer Alistair Yeomans has just pointed out to me quite correctly that this scoreline will be going down extremely well in the Emerald Isle.
I think you might just be right.
Yeah, and they'll be enjoying the fact that it's a team in green.
Absolutely.
That is perhaps sending them towards the exit at the group stage of this World Cup here in South Africa. In what is another very impressive arena here, the Peter Mokaba Stadium. A roof just on our side, we've got a roof above our heads. The other parts of the ground open-ended, and the sound from the horns and the Mexican supporters is disappearing into the African air. Perez takes the free kick downfield, and offside flag goes up against Giovanni Dos Santos, and a free kick to the French. Still no sign of Thierry Henry or anyone. Cissé even, who had that great goal-scoring season in Greece, the former Liverpool man, the lord of the manor of Frodsham himself. Here's Barrera. Back to Tirado near the centre circle, out to the left-hand side, where it's headed back by Blanco. Tirado again, and it's the Mexicans, and it's Olés we've got here, because the Mexicans are keeping possession against the French. Olé, and Blanco's ball into Hernandez, who turns, and there's space here. Hernandez shoots low, but didn't get any power behind it, and it was straight at Lloris.
Oh, they're enjoying themselves now, the Mexicans, aren't they? Knocking the ball around with great confidence, and while they're doing that, they've got some real quick runners who are taking up their positions. And this team that the Mexicans are going to finish with looks better than the one they decided to start with.
Can you imagine what those Mexicans are going to be like on the plane back to Johannesburg?
Yeah, I can actually, tomorrow? Yeah. I can actually.
I think they might be sleeping.
They'll be stinking of tequila.
Yes, it'll be Arriba underlay all through the night, I think.
That's what it's all about, though, isn't it? I mean, they would have looked at this group, the Mexicans, and think, this is going to be tricky. We've got a young, inexperienced squad. But I'll tell you what, and we said it before the game, they want to play. They're not scared of playing. They're not scared of pushing people forward. They're not scared of taking chances. Tonight, they get their reward.
No, they and their supporters will have won friends with this sort of performance. There hasn't been a great deal in the game, but I think it's probably right that Mexico are winning it. Blanco clips the ball forward into the penalty area, because the threat from France just hasn't been there.
No, but I also think when you have a group of players like the French, you have to get more out of them. You know, there's got to be more on this squad, and I mean in terms of everything. Attitude, work rate, desire.
But we've always said that about Domenech's France, even though they got to the final last time.
How did they?
Well, by hook or by crook.
Yeah, I think they got a bit of luck when they needed it.
If you remember, they beat Spain in the second round, Brazil, Portugal.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't a gimme.
It was not.
No, absolutely not.
But they had Zidane.
They did indeed.
It is 2-0 to Mexico on BBC 5 Live. 3 more commentaries tomorrow. Remember, at 5 Live, we are at every game in every stadium, as Gignac is caught offside. Tomorrow, our World Cup breakfast programme will come from Cape Town, and from 12:30, commentary on Germany, who've been of course, one of the better sides at this World Cup, against Serbia in Port Elizabeth, and then we'll be at Ellis Park. David Moyes, the Everton manager, will be at that one for us, for Slovenia against the USA in England's group, and then, as I say, England against Algeria, the whole thing tomorrow night on what I assume is England Day again on 5 Live.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was against
when is it? Denmark Day
Saturday, yeah. We're going well in the US Open and we're playing Cameroon. So
Søren Kjeldsen doing well last week.
So we've got Denmark Day on Saturday.
Yeah, Denmark Day, when we will be watching Denmark against Cameroon.
Kind of the BBC.
Yeah, it is. Just for you, Jan. You can wear your socks again in bed that night.
Let's hope it doesn't all end in tears.
Well,
my white Hummel socks, which of course also is Danish.
Yes. Very good. You'll be getting socks forevermore after that. It's 2-0 to Mexico. Ball through. Abidal has to chase it and has to give it back towards Lloris, his goalkeeper. So 2-0 to Mexico. 2 goals in the second half from Javier Hernandez of Manchester United, or at least he will be by the start of next season, and Cuauhtemoc Blanco. Remember the Blanco bounce from 1998?
Fantastic.
And here, well, he's amused us tonight with his run-up for the penalty that seems as though it's clinched the match for Mexico, who are defending at the moment, and Barrera couldn't keep it in. So Evra, who is skinned by Barrera for the penalty that led to that second goal. Evra takes the throw. Here it goes into the penalty area. The goal now for France would make it interesting, but it bounces down and is cleared away by Hernandez. What have you thought of him, Hernandez, Jan?
Well, I'm not convinced he's ready to play in the Premier League, and I don't think that's why they bought him. They bought him for the future. But he certainly looks like an impact player off the bench. You know, as I said before, he's a real pest, isn't he? He's played on the shoulders of defenders. He wants to run forward. He's quick. He's enthusiastic, and he'll definitely get goals, that's for sure.
Malouda, who has probably been one of France's better players.
Yeah, and he's had a super season, hasn't he? I mean, he's a good player.
To Diaby. Now to the right-hand side, to Valbuena, who cuts in field. Gives it back to Diaby, but Diaby was beaten to it by Hernandez, and Hernandez has dispossessed him. And Hernandez is then pulled over by Diaby, who is struggling to keep up with the young man. Free kick taken quickly. It's played through by Blanco. Giovanni is after it, but goalkeeper Lloris slides out of his penalty area and clears with his legs.
Who needs a goal here, France or Mexico?
It looks more like it's going to be 3-0.
Absolutely.
2-1.
But at every opportunity, they pile forward in their numbers.
5 Live. It is 2-0 to Mexico. And free kick to the French. Giovanni just a little strong on Malouda. So a free kick. Toulalon to take it. Still no sign of another change for France with 90 seconds of the 90 minutes to play. He's just going to leave it as it is. I think he knows the game's up.
Yeah.
Evra, high ball into the penalty area. It's over the top of Gallas. Shot from Valbuena from the angle, but nowhere near. Wild and wide. Goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no chance you're going to be scoring from that angle anyway. And what you want to be doing once you get yourself there is just lift the ball back into the danger area, give one or two of your strikers in the middle a chance to try and maybe go on ahead of it and win it. That was just pathetic.
So 2-0 to Mexico. I wonder how our friend with that huge Mexican flag, who was on our plane with the extraordinary get-up that he had on,
there's no way
his evening.
There's no way he's going to be getting up in time for the flight tomorrow.
Great moustache as well.
Yeah, but he's going to be celebrating all night, I can guarantee you.
I think so. Here's Tirado now, the defensive midfielder down the left, on the left wing almost, crosses into the middle. Abidal plays it back to Lloris, who clears from his 6-yard box. No Thierry Henry tonight. He won't be coming on. I think the French know that they're going to have to try and win against South Africa and hope that the other result goes their way. As Osorio clears it out of play for a throw-in to France. Malouda takes it. 3 minutes of added time. The man with the deep voice will tell you that very shortly as well. Here's Marquez, who clears it out of play on the halfway line for a throw-in to the French. Here he is.
3 minutes.
That'll be the last we hear from him tonight. And since we're not coming back to Polokwane, that'll be the last time we have to battle against him. But good luck to the colleagues who are coming here ahead of me. Toulalon swings the ball away downfield and effectively gives a back pass to Oscar Perez, the Mexican goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, really, should we be surprised at the French? They were poor in their qualifying group, finishing second. They were poor in the 2 games against the Irish where they just sneaked through. So maybe this is not such a big surprise. But, of course, what fooled us slightly is the fact that the squad is so impressive. They've got so many good players, but no harmony.
Not to mention the players that were left out of this
absolutely
French squad.
The right
Vieira,
cheek,
we
didn't
mentioned. Benzema, okay, he hasn't had the best of seasons at Real Madrid.
No, but they've been desperate for somebody in the penalty box, haven't they?
Samir Nasri
Nasri
didn't get it into the squad. Louis Saha as well. But they're not here. And the French players who are here, if the stories are right, most of them haven't got on with each other, or certainly a number of them haven't got on with each other. And the result is they weren't able to beat Uruguay, who finished the match with 10 men on Friday night. And here tonight in Limpopo province, they're losing 2-0 to the Mexicans. And it is Mexico with Torrado. And then Salcido, who's impressed at left back actually, all right foot, but he could have scored himself in the first half. Gallas has won it back. Gallas plays it to Valbuena. Challenge comes in, it's out of play for a throw into the French. Already almost 2 minutes of stoppage time played. And throw-in taken to Abidal. But these are the last knockings of this game, as Abidal sends it long and forward. And Gignac strongly wins the ball. It falls to Valbuena, has to turn. Torrado cleverly just puts his body into Valbuena. Gignac then wins the throw-in on the right-hand side. And there's no conviction at all about France that they're going to be able to even get a goal in this game. Sagna comes up to take the throw. France send 5 players into the penalty area. Here's the throw. Toulalon flicks it on. Gignac was going for the overhead kick, and the free kick goes Mexico's way for a high foot.
Yeah, I think so, John. But as you've already said it, haven't you? I mean, there's nothing in the French. I think this is a French squad. If you're a young player, I don't think it's a great environment to be in. I think it's very much dominated by the senior players, and I don't think they created a harmony. They haven't created an atmosphere within the squad that was ever going to get them the results that they needed.
And I think quite a number of the French supporters have left already, but the Mexicans are still here, and they cheer. It's a cheer all the way from Mexico to South Africa, because Mexico have beaten France by 2-0, and the French will find it very difficult now to make their way into the second round at this World Cup. The French will go to play South Africa, will have to win against the hosts and hope, but in all probability Mexico and Uruguay, they both know that a draw will send them both through.
Yeah, I've mentioned it twice already tonight, John, but I thought it was very impressive. The coach of Mexico decided we've got to go and make this happen. He wasn't happening in the first half. He had options on the bench. He was not scared of putting a young boy on in Hernandez. He was not scared of putting an old man on in Blanco, but it's worked for him. Full credit to the coach. He won that game for him here tonight.
So the goals coming in the second half from Javier Hernandez, soon to be of Manchester United, and also from 37-year-old Cuauhtemoc Blanco. So the final score here in Polokwane, France 0, Mexico 2.